G'day, I'd like to share some history with you on our automation system. Back in 1929, the New South Wales Government announced it would begin development of the first large-scale irrigation scheme to make use of water from the Murray River. Development of our region's irrigation system started in early 1930s and continued until the last channels were completed in 1964. This irrigation system was created to control and divert the flow of local river and creek systems for the purpose of pasture for sheep, beef, dairy cattle and winter cereals. Intensive horticulture, viticulture, orchards and rice growing were originally prohibited to protect the markets already being supplied by the Murrumbidgee irrigation area. The first water in the Berriquin district was officially delivered in April 1939. Landholders were and still are responsible for the development of their own farm channels and layout. Horse teams were often used to make smaller supply channels and farm channels until tractors became more widely available in the late 1940s. The Mulwala Canal's water flows from east to west with regulating structures throughout our entire footprint. These regulators were strategically placed to maintain a certain pool height so water was able to be delivered to the farmers. Right along the Mulwala Canal, regulators were manually adjusted using red gum drop bars. These bars were around 6 feet wide and ranged in thickness from 2 to 6 inches. These bars were positioned down to a depth of 12 feet to the floor of the channel and required teams of men to manipulate the drop bars daily to adjust flow requirements, which was an extremely intensive manual job. Deathridge wheels were used to control and measure flows out of the channel and onto the farmer's property. These wheels consisted of a drum on an axle that sat inside a concrete box structure in the channel that spun around and caught the volume of water by 8 V-shaped paddles fixed to the outside of the wheel. The wheel turned by water flow and measured the water by how many revolutions the Deathridge wheel spun. At the back of the Deathridge wheel was a manual slide that was adjusted accordingly to provide customers the correct flow. An interesting fact, the Deathridge wheel was invented by John Deathridge in Australia in 1910 and is still used around the world today. This irrigation system was operated manually up until privatisation in 1995. From this point, Murray Irrigation Limited, a company formed by the New South Wales Government, commenced its journey assisting farmers with automation. Automation can be defined as the technology by which a process or procedure is performed without human assistance. In our case, using technology to meter and deliver water. The project to remotely control the Mulwala Canal started with large aluminium gates being installed along the canal. These were called hydro gates, which were imported from the USA. Around the same time, Murray Irrigation implemented its own interactive voice response system, also known as IVR, where customers could place their orders via telephone along with the implementation of an internally developed water ordering system. Prior to this time, channel attendants would manually collect water order cards from order boxes throughout the area and call the orders into the office via a voice radio system.